The world is filled with some pretty ruthless people. People that go against the law and choose a life of crime. What's scary is that some criminals never get caught, like Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac killer. But those who do may just continue to terrorize and torture others even behind bars. Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm your host, Lindsay Ivan, and today I'm bringing you the top 10 scary, dangerous prison inmates. And don't forget to stick around to the end of this video to catch my comment shoutout portion, where I shout out your comments from my previous videos. Starting off this countdown, we have Dennis Rader. Dennis Rader is an American serial killer who killed 10 people between 1974 to 1991. Now, Dennis likes to go by the name BTK, or the BTK Strangler, which stands for Bind 'em, Torture 'em, Kill 'em. So that right there says a lot about him. In 2005, he was convicted for his crimes, and there's this very creepy video of him detailing his murders. Currently, he is in solitary confinement, which he will be until the day he dies. To this day, though, he is still considered one of the most diabolical serial killers in American history. In our 9th spot, we have Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy was an infamous serial killer who was responsible for murdering 30 women, although it's thought that the number may have been higher. He would often kill these women in brutal ways. Now, one of the reasons why Bundy is on this list is because he managed to escape custody twice. The first time, he jumped out a second-story building and then fled. Eventually, he was caught, but then he escaped again. This time, he lost enough weight to squeeze through a hole in his cell's ceiling. Now, what's scary is that when he did escape, he went on to murder more women. As a result, he was considered a dangerous prison inmate that officers had to keep a close eye on. Moving on to number 8, we have the Eyeball Man. Maybe you've seen his picture, maybe you haven't. But once you have, I promise it will be ingrained in the back of your mind forever. Jason Barnum, otherwise known as the Eyeball Man, has a long list of crimes under his belt. He was sentenced to 22 years in jail after shooting a police officer. He is considered the Eyeball Man because, well, one of his eyeballs is tattooed completely black. On top of that, one side of his face is tattooed to look like a skull. So not only is this dude a dangerous criminal, but he looks like one too. In our 7th spot, we have Richard Lee McNair. Richard Lee McNair received 2 life sentences after being convicted of murder, attempted murder, and burglary. Now, the reason he is on this list is because he managed to escape prison 3 different times. The first time was in 1988 when he used lip balm to slide his handcuffs off. Then in 1992, he escaped again. And in 2006, he escaped for his last time by mailing himself out of prison. As a result, he was placed into Supermax prison. To this day, he is known as the master escapist. Making our way down the list at number 6, we have Roy Gardner. Roy Gardner was an American criminal. During the Roaring 20s, he managed to steal more than $350,000 in cash, but clearly he didn't get away with it. But Roy did manage to escape from custody multiple times. He was considered the most dangerous inmate in the history of the Atlanta prison. Newspapers all across the coast had articles written about him, often referring to him as the Smiling Bandit or the Mail Train Bandit or King of the Escape Artists. Due to escaping custody multiple times, he was transferred to Alcatraz. From there, he was considered one of the most notorious and ruthless inmates at Alcatraz. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Robert Stroud. Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, was the prison's most famous inmate. Stroud was imprisoned after violently killing a bartender. While in jail, he became a violent prisoner. He stabbed a prison guard, stabbed fellow prisoners, and would constantly get in fights with other inmates and staff. As a result, he was sentenced to an additional 6 months. He was considered very aggressive, violent, and cruel. Coming in at number 4, we have Barry Mills. Barry Mills was incarcerated at a very young age, and from there, he grew to be a brutal original leader of a prison gang. This gang was huge across prisons. In fact, it resulted in numerous prison wars. It was said that he was admired by his inmates, but also highly feared by them. In fact, in 1979, he tried to decapitate an inmate in a bathroom stall in prison. In 2002, he was among 40 people charged with committing 32 murders or trying to. This gave him the name the Vengeful Killer. Again, this dude looks pretty terrifying. Like, he would always wear dark sunglasses because his eye got damaged in a prison fight. In our third spot, we have Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson was an English criminal who gained the title the most violent prisoner in Britain, or Britain's most notorious prisoner. He was first arrested for armed robbery and served a 7-year sentence. Upon his release, he had a career in bare-knuckle boxing. Then in 1988, he was convicted of conspiracy to commit another robbery. However, this time when he went back to jail, he became a more violent inmate. In fact, there were multiple times where he took inmates as hostages. A famous quote from Bronson reads, "I'm a nice guy, but sometimes I lose all my senses and become nasty." In our second spot, we have Thomas Edward Silverstein. If you Google who is the most dangerous inmate, this dude, Thomas Edward Silverstein, will pop up. Now, don't judge a book by its cover. At first I saw his image and I was like, there's no way that this dude is possibly scary. Boy, was I wrong. So, Silverstein was originally jailed for armed robbery, but while in prison, he committed numerous other crimes. First, he killed one of his officers, in which he stabbed multiple times. Then he murdered multiple other inmates. As a result, he had to be detained in a specially designed cell at the ADX Florence Federal Penitentiary in Colorado. Due to the crimes he committed while in jail, he is considered the most violent prisoner in America. And in our number one spot, we have Robert Maudsley. Robert Maudsley is considered Britain's most dangerous prisoner. In fact, he is so dangerous that he is kept locked up in a glass cell underneath Wakefield Jail. He spends 23 hours of his day in solitary confinement. Now, why is he so dangerous? Well, in 1977, Maudsley and his fellow inmate held another prisoner hostage. They tortured him for 9 hours before cracking his head open and killing him. It's rumored that he may have also eaten some of the prisoner's brain. As a result, he was deemed the real-life Hannibal Lecter. A couple months later, he murdered 2 other inmates. Then he casually told the prison officer that during the next roll call, he would be 2 prisoners short. And that's all for today's video. Let's move on to our comment shoutout portion. I'll be shouting out comments from my video, Top 10 Scary True Unsolved Mysteries from Japan. By Kenzo commented, let's just appreciate the fact that they're recording these videos at home just for us to watch. Of course, we all have to stay safe while in quarantine, but we don't want to stop making content for you all, so. Ronnie McKindra commented, does everybody love a good mystery? I certainly do. You guys all know that I do, so yes. Mythic commented, POV, you scrolled down and found my comment. You got me there. I did scroll down and I did find your comment. And that's all the comments I'm shouting out for today's video. Make sure to comment something down below for a chance to be featured in my next comment shout out. And as always, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to Most Amazing Top 10 for more amazing videos. I've been your host, Lindsay Ivan, and I'll see you when I see you. He was sentenced to 22 years in jail. Richard Lee McNair, or no. And in 2006, he escaped for his He was considered the most dangerous inmate in the history of Atlanta prison. Robert Stroud, also known as the Birdman of Alcatraz, as a result, he had to be detained in a specially designed